So you've probably clicked on this video because you're having a bit of a hard time when it comes to your decision making ability. In regards to your purpose, you're probably at like the fork in the road. You've got all these different lanes of opportunity that are opening up to you, but you can't seem to freaking lock in on one and be like, oh, this is the one I want to do. All of them sort of like are pulling your attention. You're like, I'm a little bit good at this one, but I'm also good at that one, but there's some pros and cons that I'm not sure about. And you can't seem to freaking lock in on make a decision. So if that seems to be the case for you, then you've clicked on the right video. If you're discovering me for the first time, I'm Dice. I help young, analytically and logically minded men that are just like you. I hope you to discover your purpose so that you can live your life with clarity, meaning, and direction. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, just hit that like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel a great deal. It only takes you a couple of seconds. And together we can actually spread this to more men. And I'd hate for you to miss out on the next video in this series, okay? The next video in the series, we're going to be talking a bit more of like the how-to, like how to become more of a hardcore decision maker. But in this video, I just wanted to cover off on like where exactly does this like indecision come from in the first place. So where do you think it comes from? Where do you think this whole like idea of like indecision and not being able to make decisions on the fly comes from? If you guess school, then you're right, okay? It's, in my opinion, it's because of school and the way that you were indoctrinated from a young age to have these thought processes that no longer serve you as an adult. So let me sort of like paint a bit of a picture here. When you were in high school, even primary school, was it okay for you to make the wrong decision? Okay, let's say like a teacher pointed you out in the class, like, what do you think? I hated that in high school. If you're probably like me, then you also hated it too, where you basically just wanted to be a grey man. So you end up in a situation where you either don't know the answer, you take a random stab in the dark and you guess the answer, or you've been studying, you do know the answer. But what is the repercussions if you're one of the first ones, okay? You don't really know, or you make the wrong decision in a sort of a public setting. Because when you're young, the freaking school like is basically all you know. Like your classroom is like, it's really important to have some sort of social hierarchy in the classroom. So what would happen? You'd end up being like lightly ridiculed to some degree by the people that are like around you in the class, like, and you'd have that feeling in the gut. You're like, oh, okay, I made the wrong decision, and oh, I didn't know. Okay, oh, I feel like an idiot. And it starts to play on your self-esteem. So over the course of time, while you're growing up, you might have had these happen a few different times, and you no longer want to be put in the spotlight, and you don't want to make the wrong decision. Okay. Another example would be like when you're at a test. Let's say you're in a test situation. You're not allowed to ask any questions. You are forced to make decisions, in a strict time frame. And you're freaking out. There's a lot of stress there that's being built up, and you're like, make decisions. If you make the wrong decision, what actually happens? You end up failing the test, and also you at the very least, you have lower marks. And if you're comparing your marks to your peer group, you look dumb. So all these things are sort of bombarding you and indoctrinating you from a young age. And you didn't really know how to take that information on board. So that's sort of where a lot of these thought processes come from. Like now that I've talked about it, it sort of takes a little bit of like weight off the shoulders as you recognize that a lot of this isn't actually your fault. A lot of these ideas, you didn't know any better, and you weren't actually actively seeking self-development when you're freaking 14. But these thought processes were put into your brain. But now that you know this information, it's on you to recognize, like, what do I need to do to let go of these things, recognize when these sort of things come up into your head, and how to train new habits and new ideas so that you're no longer, you become more of a decision maker, and you no longer have these bad things that are like holding you back. One of these things that you realize is, as an adult, a lot of these thought processes don't serve you anymore, okay? Because as an adult, you want to make faster decisions. You want to make solid decisions. And typically when you make faster decisions, okay, you obviously have a little bit of like checking to make sure things are okay. Like you don't just buy a sight unseen car, for instance. But after you sort of like have done all that sort of inspection, you kind of want to make a decision. Like, where am I going? What am I buying? What am I doing? Okay, because the faster that you can make that decision and go all out on that, the faster that you can actually see if it's going to fail, so that you can move on to something else. Because the people that typically do that and they fail at something and they move on to something else, they fail at that, they move on to something else, they have exhausted all those ideas, and be unable to move forward in a much quicker time frame. Another thing is, like, the faster that you learn, the faster that you fail, the faster that you can get over it. Okay, instead of being in this like limbo in situ mode of like indecision and dwelling and like, oh, will it work, will it not work, you get to move past that and be like, well, it didn't work out. Oh, well, it did actually work out. Also, what if you actually doubt the doubt and you recognize, wait a minute, what if it does work? What if I make a decision and it actually does work? How will I feel after I make the decision and it does work? You'd be over the moon. It'd be fantastic. So how do we get around this? How do we move forward? Okay, so like it comes down to retraining the way that you actually learn. So, you know, it's great to like watch my video. Thanks for watching my video. You're learning from other influencers on the internet. You're reading books. You've got other mentors that are in your life, and you're taking in these concepts. But you need to recognize, like, it's okay to ask for questions. It's okay to ask for help. But when you're in high school or primary school, you had a cap on how many times you could actually ask for help. So, but if you find like a mentor or somebody that you look up to, I should say, and they have what it is that you want, and you're actively picking up what they're putting down and you're learning from them, you should be completely okay with asking as many freaking dumb and silly questions as possible. And if he's a good mentor, he's going to be more than happy, like I am, to answer those questions. He's going to get a real buzz out of it. You know, it's okay to put your hand up and say, I'm the freaking retard. I'm the retard. Teach me. Tell me what I need to do. I'll put my ego aside for a moment, and I will learn what it is that I need to learn so that I don't have to be a retard for any longer than I have to. That's the whole point. You start to see now, like, the ways that you unconsciously learnt when you're in like your adolescence, and the way you actually win, like, you know, with whether you're becoming an entrepreneur or you're going after like a fairly complicated job of some sort, is completely different. Okay, so you have to upgrade your skill set of how you learn, and that's how you do it. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down and you feel like that I'm the type of person to be able to help you, then I want you to send me a message on Instagram. You know, you're probably at a stage in your life where you're at that fork in the road. You don't know how to make a solid decision, and you've got so much like things that are pulling you in different directions, and you need somebody to keep you accountable on some of the things that you already know how to do. You're not retarded if you're watching my videos, okay? You obviously have a well-functioning brain. You just probably have a few little holes in your head that you need to fill with some different knowledge and different thought processes so that you can move forward. So yeah, if you're serious, then follow me on Instagram, send me a message on Instagram, and we can actually have a chat. We can actually see if you and I are actually like a good fit to work together. You know, if we are actually a good fit to work together, you and I can get on a one-on-one strategy session. We can sort of like work out some of your potential blocks, maybe try and help you with a bit of direction, a bit of more clarity on these things, get your decision-making ability dialed in. You know, I've got some pretty hardcore exercise with that. It's not going to be fun, but I can guarantee it's going to change your life. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, yeah, reach out. If you're not really at that stage, but you like this sort of content and you can't wait for the next video that I'm putting out, then hit the like button and subscribe. And yeah, with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you soon. Cool.